heads in, you drill the touch hole in, you'd crown it on the back side here. The way it's held to the barrel is you dovetail little pieces of iron into that bottom flat, and then you run a drill through and it pins it from the wood. That's called a tenon in there.
Yeah.
Goes through the tenon and it comes out on the other side. You got 4 of those. You dovetail in the sides, so you're doing a lot of cutting and filing on that barrel. And if they were hard, oh my, that'd just be awful. The only thing you want hard on a gun is the frizzing, and that's made out of steel, which was next to impossible to get. It was against the law for us to manufacture steel. While we were part of Great Britain, you'd go to prison for it. And the springs. It's got this here. That's a frizz spring, and it always tickles me. These guys were illiterate. They couldn't even write their name, but they had a mastery of geometry. I couldn't do this. I'm a gunsmith. I couldn't rig it up to where I hand forge that spring and I make it to where that foot is just the right angle and the right length, and that frizz spring is just the right friction resistance to make it do that. And inside you've got a mainspring, you've got a sear spring, and all that stuff has to work perfectly. You start out, like I say, you start out with a pile of iron steel like that, and you wind up with one of these. Again, I got buddies to do it. I bought this from the very best in the world, L&R Lock Company. They make several different styles, and once you get it, you can tweak it and you can modify it, make it look like you made it yourself, make it look like an original handmade lock. But this lock cost me $110. To get one, starts out like that, winds out like that, from my buddy Mike Miller down in Edmonton. He'll give you the Walmart price on it. He'll make it for you for $1,800. You go to Williamsburg, prices on a handmade lock start at $2,000, $2,100, $2,200. Finish gun, everything was handmade. Screws, you didn't have no daggone hardware stores out here. You want a screw, you had to make it. And this screw is different from this top jaw screw. Guess what? You got to make that too. And those screws are different from that hammer screw. You got to make that too. And those screws are different from that frizz screw. You got to make it too. You got to make the frizz spring screw. You got to make the screw that goes through from the barrel tang into the trigger. You got to make the side lock screws. And we're just talking about screws. We haven't even got to the gun yet. My buddy will make you a gun